Kelly McGrory.
Kelly McGrory.
And we are going to slipcover a chair. This is a practice project.
Yep.
And where'd you find the chair?
It was given to me. It was on its way to the landfill, so I
rescued it.
Yeah.
Rescued it from the landfill. We've already cut pieces, and I will demonstrate real quickly what Kelly did to cut the pieces. We did a measure down in. There was a 3.5 inch of tuck-in, so gave that excess, and 2 inches or so excess to wrap around the back and connect to the welt. The seat piece, I'm sorry, before we do that, as far as the width goes, this fabric piece with 2 inches allowance on this side and 2 inches on this side was cut to 26 inches. So we've got a square cut, 26 by whatever the length measure was, and it's secured to the chair. Then Kelly measured the overall seat. We made the choice to ignore this welt placement and go for an easier corner where we'll just take a pleat and stitch up the sides. And then Kelly also cut in place the 2 inside arms with enough allowance for 3.5 inches of tuck-in, because that's how much space there was, and a good 2 inches or so hanging off in all directions. And making sure that it wraps around. And this is wrap around with the 2 inches extra, but all we need is seam allowance, so it's fine. This is wrong side out, face side in, and ready to make our first cuts.
Hi, I'm Celia DeGuglielmo, librarian at the Curtains and Soft Furnishings Resource Library. As a Pro Plus member of the library, you can watch this video advertisement-free and talk to industry professionals in our online forum. Visit the library to learn more about starting or growing a business using your creative sewing skills. See you at the library.
Great. Okay, so we've got face together, and we're going to work on this. We call it a crotch area. We've got a crotch here and a crotch here, and here. And those are, if you can manage crotches on the slipcover, then you can do anything, because that's the most difficult part of any chair. Sofa, anything. Okay. And here's the key. You pull the fabric back while the fabric's not just laying nice and flat, everything's smooth as you'd like it. Pull the fabric back till they're kissing. Okay? That is going to be a stitch line right there. But you can't determine any more stitch lines until you can make a relief cut and have the fabrics react so they can kiss at other points. Even though this pin is a little crooked, you will, at the sewing machine, you can really easily see that that was supposed to be straight, so you'll be able to fix it.
Okay.
No problem.
You're gonna let your eye finish it.
Yeah. So yes, your pin holes are your stitch holes when you get to the sewing machine, but you'll notice this.
Yes.
And when you have it together and in front of you at the machine, you're just gonna go split the difference and go right.
Okay.
Right in the middle.
Okay.
Okay, and down here, we need to make sure we flare, right? So we'll come out here. top to bottom, you allowed 2 inches extra up here, and great, great. Okay, so you're cutting that piece, just a rectangle, it's going to be bigger than what you need. And then you'll cut 2 more pieces. You're in the center with 1 pin, and then you can smooth it and anchor it through other places. But I notice it looks to me like this is good side out, and we'll want wrong side out. So let's go ahead and flip it. Perfect. Yay. Okay, now you're ready to anchor a pin and then smooth and put some other anchors. Okay, great. Yeah. Before you do that trimming, loosen this one up. Pull that cord out, loosen that one up. Looks good. Good, you're doing good, really good. This was a nice one. Yep, a little shot here, but that was my issue, remember? Doing this side, didn't allow enough. When I let the 2 inches come around, I should have left a little extra fabric here so that that would extend all the way to the seam allowance. Okay, now the final pin fitting step is to, well, not quite final, the second to last pin fitting step is to pin the welt around the body. We're going to secure this around the chair so that it's somewhat taut. And then we'll pin the slipcover to the welt.
Okay.
And then that way it is the perfect fit because it's going to go to a hard surface, right? So, it's very important not to have looseness in this final pinning at the bottom. Okay, now we also need to be thoughtful about where the opening is. At the very least, just make it so that the overlap of your welt connection is in a spot that if you need to put a zipper, you don't have to repin the welt or adjust the welt. So I'm thinking this is going to be a good spot because we can run, if this angle prevents us from lifting off the slipcover, then we can open up this seam and put an invisible zipper in there. We wouldn't take it above here though. Before we continue though, let's go ahead and trim this up. Then it essentially is not enough, and that'll pucker up in here, right? So it's good to just kind of draw a stitch line on these short sections. So we've got it on in reverse. We wouldn't normally do that. But let's take this opportunity to kind of look at things and see if we need to go back anywhere. So the first thing I want to say is that we probably should go back to some of the surged areas and push it closer to the surge foot and just kind of neaten that up a little bit. I see one trouble spot here where you could just rip the stitch from there to there and from this side up. Put it back down in the machine and go over it and just kind of ease that fullness in and get rid of that obvious pucker.
Okay.
It's probably also a good time to point out that the white, a solid white or a solid anything is going to draw attention to any minor issues you might have had. Whereas if this was a busy print, we might not even notice that. Okay, let's also look at this bottom edge down here. You've got the welt sewn on, following the bottom edge of the chair. And your last step of stitching the slipcover together would be to mark for the legs and then stitch the Velcro strips in between. Back tack, get out of the way. Now as I approach, I'm going to go ahead and cross this line. Let's see, I'd like the seam allowance going that way because then it's consistent with the way it went up here. And I also need my black scissors. We're not very prepared, are we? There we go, okay. Now, a bias seam would be a nice way to finish it off because that way it would probably draw the least attention. When you do a bias seam, the amount of overlap is the same as the width of the cover of the welt cord. And stopping and cutting the thread, I'm just going to keep going. But I am back tacking at the start and stop of each Velcro strip. Now, we want to make sure, here's the small opening for the leg in the back. We want to make sure that we have a piece of Velcro that goes right up to the edge. So even though if the spacing doesn't work out, we need to make sure one goes there. So what I usually do is get the one there, and then if I need to put a small one in between, then that's fine. Back tack on the previous one. Back tack, and now I'm placing this one up to my marking for the leg on the far side. upholsterer's tucking tool, which helps you really get these down. Okay, so let's compare these two sides. Now here we got a little trouble. We've got a little pucker,
Yeah.
and it looks like our relief cuts actually are not completely covered by the seam. It might be good to go back to this one seam and just go not even 1/8 of an inch inside, just to improve that. But this little excess here, it's a slip cover. And there's no obvious pucker, there's nothing. So, you know, I would argue that you might not even want to go back to that. You know, again, it's a slip cover into it. But I think you did a fine job. Are you pleased?
I am pleased. I think that there's room for improvement in the pulling.
As you're stitching,
Yes,
right?
I think that could have perhaps helped here.
Well, it did, that actually, this fullness here must have been a pinning issue. There must have been more fabric because pulling it, this is already taught, pulling it couldn't have smoothed that out.
Okay.
Right, so what probably happened is there wasn't enough lifted up and put into this dart,
That dart, okay.
right? Because on this side, I think it's like a little bit smoother here.
Yeah.
Nope, there's still a little pucker there, but if this wasn't white and this had a little design to it, you wouldn't even notice those things. One other area of improvement would be the seam allowance on your welt. If that was a full 3/4, then that would have pushed you to have a full 3/4 everywhere else, and it just would have made the inside look a little bigger.
And and the trimming too.
Yeah.
Maybe a little easier.
Yeah, it would have made all those steps a little easier. And everything else is a matter of what will happen with more experience will be you'll get faster,
Yeah.
right? So I look at this, you should be comfortable selling this. This is good work, right? So yay, you're in the business of slip covers.
Awesome.
What you'll improve now as you do more and more is you'll be more profitable because you'll be able to do them faster. So that's your effort, and with each one you do now is how can you do it a little more quickly. Okay?
Yes.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I love the experience.
It was
so
good.
much fun.